Hello, 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 everybody. Well, you got me on this one. This is from my other channel. And I do have some stuff going up there, but this is kind of random and just getting started. I don't know how long this broadcast is going to last. Let me get this out of here now. Yeah, I was just checking my speed because the lines have got to last the whole... No, I'm just joking. I have been having a lot of trouble getting a broadcast going. So just wanted to get out of there. But so here we have the thumbnail for this video. But let me show you. This is from the Was This Atlantis Facebook page. I just want to show you, yesterday I was looking at these things over here, and it's very quick to see the two parallel canals right there and there, and the other things I was looking at, which is right here. But what you can't, where are those? There are those lines, the ones I found yesterday. Oh, yeah, there they are. Now, none of them are straight up and down right now, and I don't have this at north. It's almost north. It's a little off north, but it's because of some other lines that I've been finding here. So this is a really quick video to present that. This is all aligned. I mean, I can go and show you the Tibesti Mountains that I talked about yesterday, and these things have been kind of making me wonder, the way these look right here, and I can put those straight up and down so you can see how perpendicular they are to the original canal, which I'm not even sure is natural either. It probably is because of the way it looks here, but it seems like it's been carved straight, and then it got a little jaggedy up here in these mountains. But you know, I kind of got into looking at this machined land. It looks like it's been machined. I mean, it's not a natural thing for me anymore. And the land in between the canals and the way that's been manipulated and worked, this is where we come into today's topic. I already pre-measured it. The thumbnail showed it, and I did try to put it up straight up down. Actually, it's not really straight up down. Let's see if we can get it straight up down just for comparative purposes. And the term parallel is not really a correct one. I wish there was a better word to talk about lines that are not necessarily parallel but go in the same general direction. When we go in here, we can see what I've been looking at for 4 years now, and I found one of the longest ones, which goes all the way out into the desert, and that came out at 2.15 kilometers. If you want the miles, it's like 1 1/3, 1.34. And honestly, there are some of these lines that are a little bit longer, and that's what we're talking about today. This line, I took it. It's if you look down here, it's not quite north-south. I mean, I don't want to readjust it right now, but if you compare it, let's see, we can compare it to the side of... Oh, you know, one thing I should be clear about is Google does change the aspect. So when you move things to the side, it doesn't mean that it's not straight up and down in the middle when you see it like that on the side. Look how on the other side it moves away from the... See? You've got the gap angled in such a way that when it moves from side to side, you can see there's a space on the right of this, but when you move it over here, there's a space on the left of it. So it's really not exact unless you're right in the middle. So that's why I'm in the middle, and I'm trying to get it as 90 degrees as possible, or perpendicular as possible. Here, let me just put it on north. So that's north-south. So the top of this is north. And I'm changing it just so we can compare, but it almost doesn't matter because you can't compare it to the sides. And I used to use the sides for quite a bit of stuff. Let me just open up and see if there's anybody chatting at all, because I don't want to ignore people who are reaching out during the live streams. So I'm just going to do a quick check and see if I've got any people talking, asking questions. This live stream might be cut off any time. Oh, look at that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow. Yeah, I tried to start it. Okay, never mind. I'm talking to myself. I've got 3 viewers. That's great. 4 live views. Somebody navigated away. I'm just monetizing the video, and now we're going to go in there and take a look and see who's talking. Anybody chat? Go in there and take a look and see. At least we know. Hi, Matt Dillon. So Matt Dillon, look at this thing. I mean, I did this earlier, and I'm like, this really is. And a lot of these gaps are about 200 feet apart. They're not consistently perfect but now look at this part. All these lines out here, they look so similar to those lines right here in Tibesti. Now, don't get fooled. I'm here. This is not north-south at all. This is way, way off. This is way, way off. But, I mean, I'm not really trying to talk about that. I'm just trying to talk about the way they look. Yeah, the Tibesti Mountains one, if you haven't seen this is incredible. And it doesn't just go with that small spot. It's going, this whole plateau has been worked. And I know that doesn't look very unnatural right there, but when you compare it to what you find moving over and how all these lines, I mean, I had the thing up ready to go. These lines are like perpendicular to one another or 45 degrees angled from one another. And let me get that out of there. Look at this. I mean, you see it all over the whole plateau in the Tibesti Mountain. Not just that one part that I originally have been looking at. Yes, we have some people working on... We have some gardeners outside running some machines. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I mean, what it looks to me like here with this one is that it was extended. They were just trying to expand, as you said, agricultural. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I mean, I took 4 years looking at the Richat. I started looking at the Richat in 2018. Actually, I started looking at it in 2010, but the whole comparison to Atlantis was up in the air. But, I mean, this is something that I've been looking at these white dots and thinking, wow, that's so cool, and this one looks like a little ghost. And I kept getting distracted by them. Some of them look like faces, anthropomorphizing everything. There's some other ones over here that I think actually do look like cartoon characters. But I always said, but those the natural, like this, the fractalization that you see happening here, I always said that's perfectly natural. But look at this. I mean, I have it angled now. I've always said perfectly natural, but now that I'm angling it, these are going straight up and down, just like the other lines we see here, and we see here, and we see here, and we can measure up here a mile long, 1.34 miles long. And of course, we can change it to feet. I mean, 7,000 feet. I don't think feet is relevant here, but I do think feet does have relevance in the past as far as units of measurement are going. Jimmy who? Jimmy who? Jimmy, what are you talking about? Jimmy owes me a shout out, okay? Last time I chatted with Jimmy, I told him what Randall Carlson said about him. When I met with Randall Carlson, when I was driving in his car. Yeah, I know, Bright Insight, Joe. I'm not going to have to block you from this channel, am I? No, I'm just joking around. Jimmy owes me a shout out. Jimmy has seen my work. And the thing about that is when I went to the Richat and took pictures of the castle by myself, Jimmy should have given me a shout out and said, hey, we now know that the so-called castle, the one video that got everybody charged up about African Atlantis, and then he doesn't follow up on what we've learned and what I've helped him try to learn. And I spent my own money going there, you know. So, I mean, Jimmy probably, and by the way, the map video that Jimmy did, go back and look at Jimmy's. No, I know. It's not you striking the nerve, it's Jimmy, because go look at the date he did the map video. And then go look at the date I did my last map video. But I've been doing map videos for 4 years now. That's where I went semi-viral. No, it's true. Jimmy owes me a shout out because look at how many subscribers I've got. And I went out and did work for him. He even talked about paying for that. And then later on, he never brought it up again, like totally forgot all about it. Jimmy's a hero to a lot of people, especially with that last video he did about Iraq. Okay, now, sorry, my voice is cracking. I'm getting so emotional. Let's just say this. Jimmy owes me a shout out, and I can demonstrate that with the videos he said, what he said in his videos, and what I've done in my videos. So, this straight line, I mean, I'm angling it straight up and down. I wish we had angles on here so we can know the degrees we're offset right now. But this is something that I've ignored because I thought it was natural, and now I'm questioning the whole thing because of the fact that we've got these straight lines going the same direction for miles and miles. I mean, even way down here, you still see that straight, and that looks not unnatural to me. This looks natural to me. I mean, the lines are pretty straight, but it's like grains of wood, right? I mean, we have striations just like in grains of wood. We have striations in stone and rock. But when you compare it and go, well, go over here and look, they're still going up and down, you know? It's like you've got the same general direction. And I was always looking at the shapes here and the fractalization of this plateau as it decays. But now that I'm looking at all these straight parallel, right? They are parallel, aren't they? So this whole area right here, and let's go back out and see where it is in comparison to the Richat. Now I can go back to north. I don't mind. I think you got the idea, right? And there's a lot of other sets of parallel lines that are not really the same. Let's go back down to the parallel canals that I visited, the one of them, because they're pretty long, right here. Now, as you can see, if you zoom out, again, that's so far away you can't tell. We can zoom in here and see if our line is going straight up and down. Pretty close. I'm not going to be picky about it. Is it Atlantis? Well, I'm just looking at the parallel lines. Hey, Frequency, how are you? I thought I was talking to somebody else, Frequency, when I was chatting with you. Okay, so there's the parallel canals right there. One here and one here. And as you can see, it's not exactly north-south. Or I shouldn't even say north-south. It's not exactly aligned. And also over here, we have a lot of straight lines here that I always said, oh, that's natural. And as you can see, they're not the same. In fact, they're this kind of diametrically opposed to the big canals. And that's what I'm seeing here. Now, yesterday I did a video talking about these canals right here, or these lines. I'm not even going to call them canals, but they're all straight in one direction as well. Now, actually, the truth about that is these, if I take these and I put them straight up and down, then what do we see over here with the ones I found yesterday? Well, I mean, this is not a perfect situation here, that's for sure. But we can go in there and we can zoom in and realize they're, whoa, look at that. They're the same direction. Straight, parallel. So that's a lot of new finds, Frequency. A lot of new finds. I mean, here's one here. Look at that. So there's a lot of straight lines in this rock. And you first see it and think, oh, it's all natural erosion. But when you realize that, I mean, if I take a measurement of this one compared to this down here, how far away are those lines? They're like 10 miles, 15, 20 miles. Where's that measuring tape? That's 110,000 feet. So how many miles are we talking about at this point? 20 miles away. And you still have that same parallel line. Thank you. Actually, it's not so high quality when I live stream. Yeah, I think we're talking about the Tibesti Mountains. But and by the way, there's a lot of things to see here. Like, I don't believe those straight lines are mountains. If they are, they're man-made. But they seem like they're creating channels. And, I mean, these straight lines right here, they're just too parallel. But then you've got it how do you say, interwoven or integrated with these other canals in Tibesti. Now, this is just one little part of the whole picture. In fact, I want to turn this like that because this is what I originally found, actually with the help of Zero Control, who was looking at this area one day, and I saw something, and so I opened up Google, and I questioned this, and over here, these lines, and of course these lines, right? Now, over here you find this grid work that's definitely not natural, and the same worked land in between the canals, or in between the lines, but what I didn't realize was this whole area up here has been worked. And I don't say that they're in the same directions, but when you look at these, they look very similar to what we've been seeing over here. So this is all new to me after 4 years of studying this. I was right here. I was in a tar. I slept in a tar, and I went down the road, I guess this way. Actually, I can't see it. Is it over here? Yeah, that's it. That's the road that goes up, and we can go north again. That'll help. So this plateau edge right here is where I climbed up, and then we drove down here. Obviously, that was a couple days after. It was actually about a week later that I had visited here because, I was learning a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, right there to the left. Didn't catch that. But I think we were talking about... Oh, we were talking about Tibesti. So, yeah, this whole area has been worked. And you can go in and you can find parallel little lines moving away. Look at that thing right there, perfectly 90 degrees. And I'm just saying that whatever civilization was here, it must have been a long time ago. And they weren't gather-hunters, were they? Unless they're hunting water. Hunter-gatherers, I should say. But you can see this working going way up into the hills here. I mean, it's looking a little bit ragged right there. I mean, you told that to me, and I'm not going to say anything I see as natural or unnatural, but I believe that line and a lot of these lines were created for probably agricultural purposes. And that doesn't look too convincing, but when you get down to this area that we started at, it's very convincing. To me, that is. Very weird. But again, let's not forget that I'm also going off, and I did take some pictures here. Some stuff, kind of random stuff, but I've been doing some measurements of some things like plateaus, 1,000 feet or 333 yards, which are paces. That thing right there, that's a mile, the line is, but that thing right there, you know what, I have the link, we can open it up, but I don't, there's a lot of circles that I consider modern day made. When I say modern day, I mean not very old, maybe a few thousand years old though, these circles. Whether or not they're tumuli where people were buried, I'm not going to get into that, but they exist. And what else exists is this thing. This thing is like 60 feet wide. And for some reason, just... let's go there. Well, what's that telling me? Go follow link. Yes, follow the link. Okay, so let's look at a few more things. There's the Bimini Road. This is Long Island. And that's Bimini. That's a ridge near something. Long Island again. And the same type of thing. This is in New York, okay? Why do I not believe they're duck ponds or duck creations? Because ducks can fly. So yeah, I've been looking at this for a while. That's and yeah, I believe that mountains like these are not natural. I see something like that and I say, yep, it was I don't want to say man-made, maybe made by giants. There's me at the castle. You talked about Jimmy. And I went there and took the picture, but no shout out from Jimmy. Okay, let's see here. That mountain, we're talking about 1,000 meters down there. Look at that. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kilometers long. yet it seems to have these right angles. I just thought that was interesting. You can go to the Was This Atlantis. Just go to facebook.com/Was This Atlantis, and you can find these yourself. I think that the clicking of my mouse, some of these are a stretch. I feel like stuff like this, when I see this, I feel like it's some type of OB dumping. It's in the middle of nowhere. Plateaus usually have these crosses at the top for some reason. I think it was mining. I went to Mauritania. That was like January. I put that up. Okay, that's got to be open by now. No? It always takes a little extra time. Let's see this thing. What is that? I mean, if you look at this, you're on a plateau. And it's like, oh, that's man-made. Well, wait a minute. Is it? You're in the middle of... This is bedrock, okay? Now, that is not very wide. I think it's about 60 feet, 61 feet. So, 60 feet wide, but it's like this scraper thing came in and just scraped through the bedrock. I mean, I will show you where we are now. This is actually... Wow, where are we? Oh, this is in... okay, I didn't expect that. It is still Africa, right? It's in Ethiopia. And we're talking about mountains that are... That looks like a circle right there. Something hit that. But, I mean, what could have scraped 60 feet wide in such a fashion that it was done... I mean, a 60-foot wide machine... I guess scraped. That could be modern day, right? But why would they do that? Why would they climb up there on that mountain? And it doesn't look like they went up there. By the way, you can see some type of signs of agriculture right there as well in Ethiopia. The funny thing is you can still see green inside the same line, but it's obviously something that's just happening sporadically. All right, I got a lot of comments. Let me see here. Success. Greetings from Australia. Just want to say thanks. Thank you, Success. By the way, I might as well hit you up. Make sure if you are or are not subscribed to my other channel. My other channel is here. Just want to make sure you know about it. And please subscribe. Was This Atlantis? I'm trying to get to 1,000. I was there for a while, but then it went down. I asked for someone's help, and they did some trickery and got me past 1,000, but then they came back down very quickly. So Frequency 99, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing about any progress in that proposal you put out. Joe again, Maitreya and the elders told me this was the second Atlantis after it was moved from Lake Titicaca. Okay, well, I'm not sure who Maitreya is. It's interesting. Is that like a group? Where are you located? And let's see. Thank you, Frequency 99. Let me see what that is. Who is Maitreya? Yeah, I kind of showed you everything I wanted to in this video. So, oh look, it comes right up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can say, I would say that with the questions of Mu or Lumeria, I think Lumeria, that thank you. Yeah, well, I'm doing some live streams and I'm monetized over here, and I'd like to get the information out there as soon as possible. Definitely want to follow up with some higher produced videos over at the new channel. Better productions, kind of a focus away from live streaming, a focus away from me rambling without a script, and turning it into something nice. So this is my live stream personal channel. It hasn't been all about history. I should dig up the first video I did. I've been wanting to do it, where I started to question these things, and I actually had a video go semi-viral back in 2013 that a friend did on the Electric Universe, and now he's doing his own channel and making tons of money. But that looks like a big old set of testicles, doesn't it? Sorry, that's kind of rude, but anyways, let's get out of Ethiopia and get back into the... I hate the desert. I'm in the desert right now. I know the desert. And when you see stuff like this, you know that this must have been happening when it was not a desert, when it was green. I mean, you see these lines, and I know that you say, oh, that's done, that happened from wind. But now I see these lines, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, what were they trying to achieve here? I don't know. That looks like wind to me. But, I still have yet to study a lot of stuff. So when I see these straight lines going through bedrock, it's hard for me to think that that was just wind. But I try to follow Occam's razor and go with the logical route when it comes to making conclusions about stuff. But then you get lines like down here, and you're like, well, come on. So I've had people tearing away at me, telling me that's natural, and I would bet my life that's not natural. I would bet my life. I mean, if you put me here and say, "Oh, bet your life that's not natural," I'd say, "No, I won't do that. I like my life." But then you study these lines here, and the angles. I might bet my left arm. You could cut off my left arm if those are not unnatural, and you have the evidence to prove it. I would bet my foot right there. I'd like to know more about the viewers. I just wish that I had the time to ask a lot more questions of my viewers. I'm spouting off a lot of stuff. I used to try to say I just ask questions, but that's what I told Randall Carlson. And when he went off on me on the... he still believes Atlantis was in the middle of the Atlantic. And that's what... See, look at those lines. I mean, I see a straight line like that. Let's get back over to the Richat. Definitely going back in October. That's my plan. I haven't bought a ticket yet. Oh, it looks like we found you. Yeah, it looks like you're deleted from this channel. Remove. Sorry. Remove. I got a virus. I mean, what do you call it? A bot. It's obviously a live person. He found out I had a live stream, and now he's doing this. I should hide user on this channel. Put user on timeout. There. User's messages will be hidden. That's it. Wasted your time, buddy. You wasted your time. All right, back to this. Couple things I was showing yesterday was this line. I thought that was quite straight, and it's connecting one canal to another. I think that this is very straight. You know, I personally... originally thought, oh, that something like that can happen naturally. But when you look at rivers and the way a river erodes from rock, it usually doesn't happen like this. You usually see things like this, little squirrels, fractals, you know, the magic, what is it, 1.33, the Fibonacci sequence, whatever. This is what you see here. This is, to me, natural. Some people think that this is actually electric. But I personally try to follow Occam's razor. But I believe now that this canal used to cut through. Something's going on here. I drove on that road right there. And, you know, it's funny. I drove right past this structure. And if I had known how close I was at the time. I was driving through here in the dark, though. So when I was arriving... it wouldn't have mattered. And you see, oh, is that sand? No, this is not sand. If you got out of the car and walked that way, you'd be walking over hard bedrock. You'd be walking over, it would be difficult. There's no paths. That looks like oh, look, there's a road. Okay, so now I need to find that road. Where does it meet the other road? So right here, oh, look at all that. Difficult to find the right road, but right here, find the road and drive up as close as possible. That's my goal. Yeah, I would like to visit that on the next trip. So there's the road appearing right there. Hey, let me tell you something about this topographical mapping software. This actually has roads that help me discover different ways of getting around. Where is that circle? I forget where we are. So if you want to find that road that goes somewhere in the desert in Africa, this might help. So there it is. There's a circle, right? And by the way, you can change this to the imagery and see it there, but we don't need that. I like to keep it on the street map. So now, look at that. See? So now we have the road that I took, and now we can see the different ways of getting up to that structure. So there's a road that goes... Is that a road? I don't think that's a road, but it's a path. Let me move that over here so I stop clicking on it. So there you go. So that shows this path right there. I mean, is it really going to help GPS style? And what are these bumps? They look a little bit... I mean, they're not trees. Are those trees? No. These little bumps here, I can't remember seeing these. I guess they're piles of rocks. But why they're right next to the... I mean, maybe that's something to do with making the road. Anyways, yeah, it's a lot of stuff to look at. Yeah, a few hundred years of no maintenance and everything's completely gone. Thanks, Matt Dillon. It's true that we became where we are now in just a matter of, 200 years? I mean, we had George Washington and Ben Franklin writing the Constitution. I don't know, did George work on that? I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't remember his name being signed on it. But anyways, yeah, we have all these people creating constitutions 250 years ago, because I was born at the 200-year mark. Then we have horses and the train. The train really opened up industry and opened up the ability to ship goods across the country. And of course, as far as marketing goes, we can find marketing. We can find advertising in Egypt, and we can find old 2,000-year-old advertising. But marketing started in the 60s. In general, I mean, we had a printing press which allowed mass marketing, and that was old. I mean, the printing press was a big thing about marketing, but when we get into how long it took to get where we are today, Matt, yes, it's technology from the 1900s, for sure, for sure. Except for science, right? Science never changes, and the understanding of the body and the earth. Yeah, we've probably reached a high civilization at least a few times since Atlantis. I kind of feel like there's been a lot that we get omitted from history. All right, so I'm kind of finished looking at that. It's just these types of openings here. I mean, they're found everywhere, and I say canal. Over here, there's one very similar that I hopefully will be going through. And this is a really questionable one. I mean, if that's not created, if that's not intelligently designed, I don't know what to think. Because when you talk about curves of bedrock, and this is the Adrar Plateau, like I said, this is pure bedrock here, probably scrubbed from a flood. But naturally, I would say that this line would continue out here and then come back. I mean, you don't just get this straight line and then suddenly this other side. What's on the other side there? Very interesting here, and then of course that's connected to this big curve. This curve here, I'm questioning it, and at the other end you have probably an ancient canal going somewhere. Again, with the naked love. Okay, I can easily hide you again and delete you. I'm not that big of a channel. This user's messages will be hidden. Yeah, see, I told you it was a live person. Yeah, definitely want to be going here. I want to be going exactly right here. I'm not sure who wrote that, but it's a good question. And I kind of feel like it would have been at the bottom of a lake. However, I would love to visit that and see exactly what that's made out of. And yes, Matt, I think that this right here supports your argument that, well, you said that we've probably reached a high civilization at least a few times since Atlantis. So, what's going on out there? A lot of weird noises outside. Okay, so, yeah, I believe that this was a lake. That's a very terrible shot. This was a giant... I mean, look at the alkaloids there. There was water there that dried up. That's another thing about Jimmy, if you're still here. Joe. Jimmy went on Joe Rogan and said that salt proves that there was flooding. No, I don't think so. Salt proves that water dried up in one spot. It didn't flood through and wash away. That's a different event. And he was touting this thing about salt, and I was just like, oh my gosh, let's get off the salt. This one here has that same fractalization going on that you don't see lines. I mean, you don't see parallel lines here. This is actually probably an example of it natural without previous cuts. There's something else I wanted to visit over here. Over here, you see these same lines, and I've done a video about this. I think this looks like a dog, and you see this a lot where there's one line and two ears popping up, and there's another one over here. Where's that other one? But the thing that I brought you down here for is to show you how these lines line up across. Okay, there's that dog there. I call that the dog, but anyways, you've got these lines that line up across. So how does this line just suddenly magically appear right across from that line, which has another one down here? And the weird thing is some here, I think it's right here, I could be wrong, some of these things have the lines going down across the valley as well. So this thing happens, and then I think you see part of the line going down into the valley down here. Let me back out. Oh, there it is, right there. So here you've got another one, and that's on top of this plateau. And we can use the topographic map to figure out how high that is. I just have to get out a little bit and go down there. It jumps around, but you can see it pretty clearly now. And that's the one that I was looking at there, if I'm not mistaken. So you're talking about up here is 2,000 feet above sea level. Down there, it's like 500 feet. And we can see that on if you hover. Like if I put my mouse pointer here, it says 543 meters. If I put it down here, it says 171 meters. So how is it that you get this line going across? Well, that's exactly where I found... What, we still have more? Oh, no. Yeah, Joe, I am planning on going back in October. That's my goal. And I got some people there who are holding some stuff for me. And, see, in my opinion, this is one of those weird artificial spinal mountains like I find down in South Africa. But here, it gets up here, it turns into like a canal. Like... Is that a volcanic dike, a natural volcanic dike shot through here, going how many miles? How many miles across is that? And it's pretty much lining up, okay, as you can see. That is 22 miles. And let's just zoom in here so you can see. I don't know if I can make it down here. Now, that part, see, that's not straight there. So a lot of erosion and other activities happen. I just happen to put it here, and you can see it kind of is away from the edge of the cliff here. So this must be millions of years old, in my opinion. Some of this stuff is way older than we even realize because of the amount of erosion that could have happened to it. I mean, it goes right through there. It goes right over that line right there. How is a 20-mile long line happening through a 2,000-foot change in altitude? Well, I've talked to Brian about... thank you, Joe. You mentioned I should invite Brian Forster. I did mention this to him about 3 years ago. Now, I've chatted with him since, but he was definitely like, I'm not going. He definitely doesn't have an interest in going to countries where slavery is questionably still existing, and I don't blame him, but I have to say that people were worried about the mines, like there's mines as far as I'm concerned, there's zero mines out here. There may be some mines in Western Sahara along the berm. Oh, here we go again with yeah. I think this is just copied. I think that it's not even a link. It's not even a link. Naked-hd.xyz. Doubt it. R. Hammond, I see something. I can't read it yet. It says, just a suggestion, but you ought to spend an afternoon drawing all of the suspicious straight lines onto one map and give a title to each one. Well, then I would probably... I think that Zero Control has pretty much done something like that. What I should do is go through all my videos and grab everything I've documented so far onto one map. That's for sure. I did it a little bit. There's actually a project here, and I don't even know if I have... Actually, I'm not seeing it. This is make a new project. Where's the projects that I've created? Open project from Google Drive. Yeah, but it's not in Google Drive. It's okay. I guess it is. That was somebody else's. The trip. That was somebody else's, not mine. Okay, so what is showing is all the lines I found down in South Africa. Lots of lines. And this is the thing that convinced me that something ancient and maybe unhuman had previously worked this land. And when I heard Zero Control say things like working the land, I would get a little triggered, and I would say, oh, I mean, it's got to be more natural than that. It's not so unnatural. But when I looked in here at some of these lines, I mean, and they're not just lines, they're mountains. They're not like Nazca lines. They're mountains. They're about 1/10 of a mile wide, and they've got a spine on them. Here's a bunch right here. And it's like, people, oh, that's a volcanic dike. That's finished. And actually down here with these weird rings, I've never seen rings like this if they're volcanic. That's why I circled one of them, but they're everywhere. And the question is what geological explanation is there for these rings that you find? And some of them look like somebody just dribbled some spackle. I mean, we're seeing them like this one, and I'm beginning to think that the whole so-called Great Escarpment of South Africa was created by some type of an ancient mining project. I mean, how many of these circles can you really have? I mean, would those be like these things? Would they be like volcanoes, or would they be like some type of a magmatic, kind of like the Carolina Bays? Well, it gets to a point where that's just not a good enough explanation anymore. Actually, I should stretch that out because that goes right out there, right? When you get over here at the north side of Lesotho, still in South Africa, and you get into some of these ridges that you find, I mean, it does freak me out. And this thing right here, and by the way, where was that other? I did have some other pictures, and I guess maybe it was this one. No, where were those pictures at? Here. Yeah, that one. That's that I just showed you. Have to get back to, where's the arrow? Here it is. I mean, just the differences in the plateaus. And a lot of these plateaus have a cross going across the top. So it's like they were worked. And these ridges go 40 miles and 40 kilometers in some places. And go across what is obviously natural. So here we can see that this is older than that, right? But what created that road? 3,000 years ago? Well, I think 3,000 is not that old, Joe. I mean, I definitely thank you for your comment, and I think that it's important. I think we have this ancient alien theory now that says that there's been mining in Africa for older than Atlantis. I mean, what's older, Atlantis or ancient alien theory? Obviously, Atlantis is only 13,000 years old. That's the end point, not the starting point. But when I showed you, and let's assume that the lines in the Richat structure had any, I mean, originally I was just assuming that was natural, but now I have a different opinion at this time. And yeah, it had to have been a long time ago. And Randall Carlson even said that people were working the mega breccia stones in the Richat structure 130,000 years ago, or I can't remember the exact number, but over 100,000 years ago. I think he said 150,000 years ago, and now we've got evidence of humans 300,000 years ago in Morocco, was it? But I'm thinking much older than that at this point. And, you know, you've got people like Michael Tellinger making million-year-old claims. I thought he was crazy, but now I don't know anymore. I mean, obviously this Earth was occupied by other civilizations, and some of them could have been giants, the Desnovians. And were they a descendant of the ancient alien theory? So you can go over to the, this one is actually my personal photos, but most of these are in the Was This Atlantis, the page on Facebook, facebook.com/Was This Atlantis. This is one of my favorites. And these channels, these channels, that's 1,000 feet wide, or 1,000 yards? Can't remember. It's 1,000 something. And I think it's more like 1,000 paces, yards across. Like somebody said from here to here. I mean, that would have to have been a human, right? A giant, that's a different story. I didn't even believe giants existed. Now I do. And by the way, this line goes up to another one where you get another channel just like this. These are houses. These little tiny white things are houses. Okay, so this ancient pathway, road, ridge, cut through bedrock, weakened it so it would decay in a manner, but also created bridges. I mean, I honestly don't know what to think about it. I believe it was something created by giants. This one here has a 40-foot wide road at the top of this plateau carved into the mountain, but over here it thins down to about half, and it has a little shortcut going that direction. Was there two-way traffic up here? Then you have a road going that way and a road going that way. And there's, by the way, another chute like I just showed you. When I say chute, I mean like a really wide thing. Where is that? Here? There's one of these is nearby there. So there's so much things to be said. And that's an isosceles triangle right there. So up at the top of this mountain, you've got, well, they're not exactly the same degree. It looks like an isosceles triangle. And then this thing, this smelting pot, I don't know what happened in this circle. And if you go back to, see, you can't, it's just so difficult to navigate these photos. I mean, this one right here, you can see the difference right there in the topographic map of the same thing. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I do plan on going back in probably when it cools down. It's the summertime right now. I mean, we're only talking about 1 month away, right? 2 months. September, November, October, November. So we have 60 days. And yeah, I just started chatting with a gentleman who's holding on to a bunch of my stuff for me. And we're going to, I don't know his schedule. We got to double check and see how busy he is. Unfortunately, my money situation is going to stop me from doing everything I want. I was thinking about doing a GoFundMe page or something, but to be honest, if I could just get a shout out from Jimmy to his 1 million viewers, I could get, instead of 5,000 subs myself, I could get maybe 100,000. Then I could really go to work and I could just devote my time to this all the time. Right now, I'm kind of worried that I might have to go and get a job. Okay, where were we? So this is Tibesti, and if you haven't seen Zero Control, there's all sorts of stuff going on around here. Kind of hard for me to get into it right now. Actually, I'm getting to a stopping point. Last chance for any questions. Tibesti again. Let me close these. Whoops. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in India. So now it makes me wonder, Joe, who you are. Because you said, I'm looking at your chatting, and you said, told you this. Maitreya and the elders told you this. I'm sorry, told you this was the second Atlantis after it was moved from Lake Titicaca. Well, see, and that's, I don't know about moving from Lake Titicaca. It's Lake Titicaca is let's go to Lake Titicaca real quick. Let's get out of this. Yeah, this video, I did a couple videos on that. You can see in the thumbnail. This whole area was worked. Something up there was worked. I wanted to go. My friends from South Africa told me, oh, it's so dangerous. You're going to get killed. You need to... I'm not really that paranoid, but it is good to be safe, right? So you have to get yourself an armed security guard that goes everywhere with you, kind of. I don't know about that. You probably don't need that down in Cape Town, which would be my first stop. Probably lots of things down there to see too. Look at that, the way those rocks... See, and that's the thing. I mean, just because you've got parallel directions doesn't mean... Look at this straight line coming through here. What's going on with that line? This line right here. That's an interesting one. Okay, let me get out of this project. No projects. Lake Titicaca. You know what? I'll just search that. Lake Titicaca. And I think we're talking about South America. Yep. And of course you've got the lines are right there, right? Let's get... There's all sorts of ridges in South America. Okay, that's a little farther north than I've really looked at. The Nazca lines, where are those at? They're like right... Gosh, it's been a while. I think they're like... I don't know. I have to look up Nazca, right? Where's Nazca? Well, now you know what I'm looking up. The Nazca lines. And that would be located right here. So I don't do a lot of South Africa. Sorry, South America. Said the wrong thing. So there you go. The ocean is right there. Lake Titicaca. Where's the comparison? Oh, over here. Okay, so it's north of there. I got it. And I was looking down here at some ridges that I wanted to include, and I forgot where they were. I wonder if I can find them again. Those ridges definitely look like they're unnatural mountain ridges coming from a mountain. And they're on both sides of the mountain. I showed that already, but I already forgot where they were. I think they're down here somewhere. Down in Argentina. Maybe that mountain right there. Is that it? You can really easily find these types of ridges. It's not hard. Yeah, I thought he was... thank you, Success. Thank you so much for saying that. And that's what I said. I actually did a video joking about it. And the sad thing is that I don't deserve any money because I wasn't the first one. The first one was Atlantis Together. They did the 3D video. Yeah, by the way, frequency. I've been thinking very, very strongly on that topic. And I don't want to talk too much about it. But the question is it ever going to get printed, or is it only going to be an ebook? And yeah, I definitely will be doing something like that. I was thinking in the terms of a scientific paper, and this is where you might come in handy because, from what I understand, you have a PhD, and I do not. I only have a master's in business. So back to you, Success. Bright Insight said his exact words, because I went back and listened to him, because I thought he said about $1,000. But what he said was, I would definitely pay a few $100s to get some ground photos of that. That was in 2018. So now, 4 years later, I assumed somebody else would beat me to it. But when I went there, I was not... sorry about that. Well, you can't see that. I'm not showing you that. Sorry, I'm talking about two things at once here. So, in response to that, yeah, look how close they are. So close. I mean... Let's measure that. Where's the measure distance? We're using maps. So we're talking about 4,000 exact miles. No, not really. And the thing about where Atlantis was, yeah, think about how old these things really are. Stop doing that. I don't want that. Okay, well, whatever. Plato wrote Beyond the Pillars of Hercules, and we got here now. But that's only 13,000 years ago. I mean, do I think that Doggerland was part of Atlantis? Of course I do. There was a civilization here that's gone. Is it the ones that were attacking? Well, I don't think so because of the timelines of it all. somebody said it's directly west. It was right here. It's like, well, that's not exactly what I read. What I read, there was some 3 points that he made in Critias. He said within the Pillars of Hercules and without, or outside of the Pillars of Hercules. He made a line here, and the people who were getting attacked were inside here, and the people who were attacking were outside there. But we didn't know from where were they coming outside. Now you mentioned this thing about the connection to Lake Titicaca. Well, I can believe that. When your words are they were moved. It said it was moved from. That's a question I have: is moved, or did they just they changed the capital? Like in California, the capital was originally Monterey, and then it went up to San Jose, and then when California became a state, Monterey was the capital. Then San Jose, well, I could be wrong about that, but San Jose was a capital, and then later on Sacramento became the capital. But the first capital of California was here. This is where I learned Chinese. I learned Chinese here at the Defense Language Institute, right there. Right there. And then I went back and I got my master's degree right there as well. I love this neighborhood. I haven't been back in about, it's been 15 years. Maybe longer. I think I went back up in there 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Approximately. Anyways, so that was that story, and I think I'm pretty much done for the day. Definitely happy to get this information out there. I didn't think this was going to turn into a 56-minute video. So it's true, there's so many things I'd like to do. Write a book. I have written books before, and I've written textbooks, and I've wrote a couple of fiction books. And so this would be another nonfiction. I'd like to take some photographs, and I'd like to probably go up to get a photograph of this place right here. This is the wrong map. Let me get this one. So that was South Africa. I'm thinking since traveling's prohibitive, I'm trying to take a look at this situation up here. These mountains and these. This is not exactly straight, but they've got this wall on the top of them. And I've been thinking about this. Now, there's one here, and then there's this one down here, right? I'm not measuring anything. Is this the other one? That one looks like it was put right on top of the other, but these mountains look like they're the same age. So how do two mountains that are the same age intersect? And let's talk about these angles. So there's a lot of things I have to look at. Let me go to 2D. These angles, that's obviously a wider angle than that. And also here, the question I have is, was the mountain being created and then they said stop here because we want the water to go through it? When you get up here very close, you can actually, not that, I think I'm talking about something else. Some of these crossing points actually do allow water access. That's a breach, right? We can agree that's a breach. So I'd like to come up here and study this a little bit and take some good photos, and then that would be a start for the work. Look at, these little angles just don't make sense. Like, what volcano did they come from? Are they volcanic dikes coming from no volcano? Where's the volcano? Up here? Is that it? Rough Mountain? And now you've got these lines up here that I question. So, I personally might be crazy now. I've got to bounce too. Thank you so much for your comic success and for pointing out that Jimmy Corsini owes me money. Or he owes Atlantis Together money. Now those little dots, that's modern day, right? That's all modern day. But look at that one. Look at these lines. That's not modern day. So we got one of those lines here. Is that another one right there? So, yeah, you definitely have a lot of straight lines in North America as well. And the big question is, what really created Devil's Tower? Right? Oh well, that didn't work out very well. Let's try that again. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, see, this is the problem. You power on. I guess actually the internal audio would have worked, so maybe it would have been fine. What really created Devil's Tower?